Time for your PFF Top 15 cornerback rankings for the 2019 NFL Draft, all powered by PFF Edge and Elite. If you want the full statistical breakdown on all these guys, it's all part of that Edge or Elite package in the draft guide. Mike, let's get into this. We don't have it necessarily tiered by round. We'll break that down in a minute, but I really think these three guys at the top, somewhat interchangeable depending on scheme.
Yes, the top two are very scheme dependent in my mind. Byron Murphy is just not a guy you really want playing a lot of press man coverage. Against larger wide receivers, you even saw it in college. He gave up separation at the line of scrimmage, gave up separation at the top of routes when guys got into his body. He's, under 5'11", under 31-inch arms. That just doesn't bode well. Off coverage, though, as good as it gets. I mean, he breaks on the ball. His short area quickness is elite. Love him in any sort of zone-heavy defense.
Has a feel for zone, too.
Yes.
It's not just the quickness.
Oh, yeah.
He just knows how to
route concepts,
see routes, understand them, and break on them.
If you're one of those teams, you should be coveting him in the top 10. That's why we have him in our top 10. Greedy Williams, complete opposite. Press-heavy teams, whether it's cover 3 match, single high, a lot of those teams press man. He's going to be your guy. He went toe-to-toe with DK Metcalf, held his own, one of the few that could. He has that sort of ability at the next level to take away a bigger receiver with his size and speed.
Yeah, over 6 feet tall, sub 4'4", 40. DeAndre Baker, kind of a combination of two. I think he can play a little man, play a little bit zone, pretty good ball skills. Multiple years of really good grading in the system for us by DeAndre Baker.
But just doesn't have the high-level athleticism that you worry about. If a guy can't make up ground, 4-5 type of speed, if he can't make up that yard that every cornerback loses down the field at times, that's just concerning. All
right, so we got those three guys as first-round picks. And then, to be honest, we have a bunch of guys in the second round, right? So there's a cutoff here probably right under Julian Love. But we've discussed having David Long, Amani Oruwariye, at least as fringe first-round type of guys, especially David Long at Michigan the more we watch.
Yeah, David Long I could see pushing up into the first round. If you took him 20th overall, I wouldn't argue with him. If you're a man-heavy team, that's who he is. He's a little undersized for playing press man a lot, but in terms of when he can match smaller wide receivers, he's as good as anyone in this draft class at handling an Antonio Brown. Someone of that nature, shorter, quicker, he can stick with them through the whole route tree. So love his ability in that. He just didn't play the zone coverage is the biggest thing with him. They never played anything besides man and a little two-trap at Michigan. So that's all he's seen. Any off-zone is going to be pure projection at this point, unfortunately. And then you got a few bigger guys in Amani Oruwariye, Justin Lane. Love their athleticism at that size, ball skills at that size, but still some holes in their game. Still not perfect finished products at this point.
Yeah, especially Lane. He's a former wide receiver. I thought he has his size plays really well in zone coverage, and I think that's one of the biggest, important facets of ranking these guys. It is very much scheme-based. If you are a man coverage team, you're looking at Greedy, you're looking at David Long, you're looking at specific guys. If you're a zone-heavy team, Byron Murphy, Oruwariye could do a little bit of both, but Lane in zone. Love Julian Love in zone too at Notre Dame. I thought he could play maybe what Desmond King has done from Iowa over with the Chargers, playing more of a zone slot type of role because he breaks on the ball so quickly. His metrics, multiple years at PFF, really, really strong. I think he's a little under the radar as well.
Julian Love has been very productive in his Notre Dame career. Was an All-American this past season at Notre Dame. Love his ability to play at the catch points. I mean, he did well against J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who is as physical as it gets at the catch point there in their matchup this past season. So a lot to like about him, especially if you're getting him in the second round.
And then Oruwariye, our number 5 guy, reminds me a little bit of Aqib Talib with his size, movement skills, and the fact that Talib had some developing to do early in his career, but eventually became a top-notch corner. The rest of these guys we have is more day 3 and into day 4 type of guys. Anybody else on the rest of the list that really stands out, Mike?
Yeah, I think a couple of the small school guys are really interesting to me. Sean Bunting, I mean, his from a size, speed, athleticism standpoint, ticks all the boxes. A little sloppy at Central Michigan because he could be. I mean, he could let receivers get past him because he knew he was athletic enough to make that ground up against, worse wide receivers there in the MAC and then make plays on the ball. You'll have to see him clean that up at the next level, not get as sloppy. And if he does, I mean, he has as much potential as anyone in this group. And then Jimmy Moreland, James Madison, 18 picks over the course of his career. My guy, I think he's the best slot cornerback in this class. Extremely physical, extremely tough-nosed. Gets right up in bigger wide receivers' faces and pressed them there at James Madison. Had a game where he had 5 holding penalties against him because he was just so physical, on the route tree. Not going to play at the next level, but I love his instincts. I mean, 18 picks, can't really argue with that.
Yeah, and then Isaiah Johnson, big, athletic guy. I mean, he's one of those guys that could go way higher than we think.
Athletics is an understatement. He's about as athletic as it gets.
Freak athlete combined with size. And then Juwan Williams, a guy that people have been all over the board on, but I really love him as a zone type of corner. If you're a team like the Colts, like the Texans, if you can't get a Justin Lane a little bit earlier, Juwan Williams might be available later and a really good fit for your scheme. As I said earlier, the full statistical breakdown on all these guys, all a part of your PFF draft guide as part of PFF Edge or Elite.